Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Fantasy Football University, FFU, coming at you yet again in the off-season. Big show for you guys today. I'm Mr. Bill DeCousis. I'm here with Mr. Tom Lang. Mr. Lang, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. I actually might be signing a contract as a wide receiver of the New York Giants this week. You know, that I started playing football last week as a wide receiver, and they're signing everybody. So the geriatrics have been signed to the New York Giants.
The Giants are very quickly becoming basically the most fun, the most interesting team. Odell Beckham, Cam Scatterboo, Jackson Dart. You've got a cast of characters on this team now.
Yeah, Darnell Mooney, got Juju Smith-Schuster. So I mean, you got a
Patrick
lot.
Jacked Ricard. Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
got a
mean,
lot of you got a lot of guys that are also video game streamers.
yeah. So realistically, and I know you're an interesting one with your fandom with the Giants because I know you go out of your way to try to take your fandom out when it comes to fantasy analysis.
Yeah.
Like in the past, you've actively tried to avoid Giants players in certain
Yes.
scenarios. So taking your Giants fandom out of it, um, who do you like? I know we're fans of Isaiah Likely, basically because he's going as an afterthought. But from a fantasy perspective, do you think the hype is getting too high, or do you think it's just right for a lot of these players on your team?
I don't think the hype is enough. I'm just kidding. Um, I think it's just right. I don't think it's overly hyped. I think, it's so not overly hyped, which they tried to overly hype things politically a couple days ago. That's the reason they were like, oh, we gotta just find something wrong here. Let's just dig it at them and just bring it out there. But anyway, I mean, I think they're doing their due diligence, honestly. Um, to bring in talent. They're spending the money. And here's the thing, right? They have 12 wide receivers right now that are on the depth chart, that are on the depth chart.
They're
There's
not all
only
going
gonna
to make it.
no, there's only half of that, if not, probably say 6 out of 7 will be on the depth chart. With at the 53-man roster.
I don't even think Odell is going to make the team. I think it's just for, he's retiring with the Giants type of thing. And if he
Uh,
makes it, he makes it.
I
It stinks of that, really.
I don't know. I mean, not saying that I'm nervous, but I'm starting to get a little nervous about Malik Neighbors.
I
So
was telling you.
I know, I know. Just seeing some of his movement on just a little slight jog at Yankee Stadium doesn't really make me feel too peachy. But honestly, I think it could be one of the reasons why they're making these moves. It would suck, but seeing Malik Neighbors start on the pup could be a thing.
Absolutely. And I mean, who is going to have the temerity, even if he starts on the pup and then he goes on IR or something to like play him when he comes back? Like
Guys,
you
I
would
mean,
have
we
to
saw
see it for
this
a while,
and we saw this last year, with whatchamacallit, Scary Terry, Terry McLaurin, it was an injury, but then it turned into an injury. It was a contract holdout. Then it turned into an injury. Then it turned into another injury. And then that team just completely fell apart because of all the injuries. And
yeah.
hard knocks. But anyway,
We have this with any number of players where like Chris Godwin comes to mind of where he's just not the same guy. It takes him a whole year. And maybe Malik Neighbors is going to be in the same boat. That's also why I'm worried about Cam. But I suppose we'll see what happens.
Cam Scatterboo is participating in positional drills in OTAs. So I think if he's participating in things like that, I'm feeling pretty good that he's able to move. And if he's able to, work his lateral movements, his explosiveness and agility, he'll be fine week one.
Okay. All right. Let's go to some other news. So we'll save the big one for later. So, very, very recently, Miles Garrett was traded to the to the LA Rams. And it's that significant that nobody even cares about any of the other pieces involved there. It's basically just Miles Garrett to the Rams. And basically, as soon as Miles Garrett was traded to the Rams, all of a sudden now it seems like Aaron Donald is going to be returning to the Rams
There's
as
a
well.
strong possibility. And let me tell you something right now. Put your money on the Rams to win it this year because, once Aaron Donald is on that roster, they're going to be in the minus at that point. There's going to be no plus. It's going to be the first time ever that a team has basically come out in a minus without the season to start.
Yeah, and basically that means other than the Simpson pick in the first round of the NFL draft, they've done everything in terms of just trying to maximize for this 1 year to go get that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Simpson pick notwithstanding everything else, but
No, I mean, but the Rams like fleeced the Browns on this. They
base
like, I mean, Jared Verse is a good defensive end, but he's not Miles Garrett, and he's not worth a contemporary like potential what's going to happen with those picks. You just don't know. And honestly, if they're going to win, then they're going to get the 30th, 31st, 32nd pick potentially, and so you're not really getting much out of it. Yes, you could trade up, but so it's value, but you know, um, you're not getting the value which you're anticipating in that kind of element.
No, but presumably there's a financial consideration. Like the Browns basically got out of a gigantic contract that they gave Miles Garrett, so maybe they're planning for the future, and they have to.
Keyword, keyword. They gave him. They gave it to him last year too, right?
Right. Oh, and which was upped from another gigantic contract that he had. So I mean,
Yeah.
they were paying the Cleveland Browns premium for him to be there.
Yep.
Now, they're looking towards the future, which basically means that they're probably going to have one more awful year with and without Deshaun Watson or whatever, and then maybe they start picking up the pieces next year. I don't even know when they could get rid of Deshaun Watson at this point. So I mean,
I'm telling you, he's the next Bobby Bonilla. He's going to be a Cleveland Brown for the next 50 years.
Cleveland Brown,
Brown.
yeah, the Cleveland Clown. Yeah, that's what he is. But so good on the Rams. I mean the Rams. Yeah, I would have them as the Super Bowl favorites in the NFC for sure. I think Detroit's going to have something to say about that. Um, and also people are just discounting the Seahawks. I don't personally think the Seahawks are going to be Super Bowl contenders this year, but they're still very good. They're the champs. So,
They are the
um,
champs.
do you think the Giants make the playoffs this year?
I think that they are ahead. Like honestly, what they've done on defense and what they've been doing offensively, with pieces and key, they don't have like massive moves that they made to bolster their roster, but they've made a lot of positional moves that are like, nice role players that are going to help establish team chemistry seems like it's a high morale right now. So I think that, things are getting in a really positive position. So I think that they have a 70% chance to make the playoffs this year.
70%. All right.
70.
There's a lot of competitive teams in the NFC this year, so
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. Two more
Well,
bits in
7 teams make it, so
Two more bits of news here. The other one, which we all saw coming, so AJ Brown has been traded to the New England Patriots.
No. It's called the New England Diana Rossinis.
Dan Orsini, reported by Dan Orsini, AJ Brown has been traded to the Patriots. It's gonna be good the whole year. So I don't think AJ Brown is going to be as good as he was in the past. I don't. I think he's on the downslope, and also he's not one of my. I just don't think he has it in the way that his attitude would suggest. However, I think him going there really is great for Drake May. Drake May, who's an MVP candidate for last year, we're going to have Drake May ranked pretty high. But again, it's just the question is where, from an investment perspective, do you take him in a draft where there's so many good late round quarterbacks?
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. We both still think the Bills win the AFC East, right?
I mean, yeah, 100%. But I do think that this is a positive thing for AJ Brown. I mean, he's going to be the
Yeah.
vocal point of that offense. Obviously, you got Romeo Dobbs that got signed by the Patriots this offseason as well too, and incorporating the other talent that they had there. Butte is there. They still have the same guys. Mac Hollins is still there, so they still have the same guys minus Stephon Diggs. Um, so I mean, I think bringing in AJ Brown, it could only open up the field more for obviously the running game, but then also open up the field for options for a young quarterback in Drake May. Now, do I think that that offensive line is going to be as good or better than it was last year? I don't think so. I think they lost a little bit of talent, and they also, signed a guy that looks like a turnstile. So we'll see.
We'll see what happens with them. Again, still think the Bills are going to win, but we'll get to the fantasy implications of that. Last bit of news here. This is worth the conversation because this is all over the place online. So we have the Josh Jacobs situation.
Oof.
First of all, there's been
That
news.
nobody's talking about anymore, apparently.
Yeah, but there's been news every day about this. So when it first came out, it was like there's no way Josh even plays the next season. Then it was like everything's being disputed. We don't know what's happening. We don't like everything is things are going to be dropped, but maybe they're not, but maybe they are. First of all, is there anything that you heard that I haven't heard? What's the latest on this?
I
Is it
mean,
just more of the
if
same?
more the same, but he's at OTAs. He's at minicamp right now. So I mean, that maybe just being there present, he probably wants to be there
Of course
to
he does,
be
instead of
away.
jail.
Yeah. But I would say anytime it's not like people get these implications all the time. This just doesn't come out. And unless you do something or you're associated with something. So I mean, I'm just telling you something right now. He is definitely somebody I'm really nervous about staying, this year.
Right.
Um, this is a serious thing. And you put hands on somebody, something like that. That's a big no-no. If the NFL allows him to play a full season, yeah, I'd be surprised, very surprised. Even if he's accused or he's guilty for one of those five charges, at minimum 4 games. So I mean, and to be honest, to safeguard the league, I think that they should put him on the commissioner exempt to start the season. So fantasy wise, I'd be very, very hesitant. He obviously is, when it comes down to his position right now, he's quoted as an RB2 right now, in as ADP wise. We all know his potential, but I'd be very, very hesitant, very, very scared about taking a guy like that. If you're going to take somebody like that this year, you got to take the rest of the backfield, and good luck there.
Yeah, and if we didn't otherwise, it was 5 counts of varying domestic violence charges, including strangling. We're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
We'll just say what it was. They would be very irresponsible of us to suggest to project him or to suggest that he's going to play a full season because he's not. Um, Now, one of the things that could happen is this might be some, ongoing litigation, or they might try to figure some things out, and then he might play the whole season and then for the following season be suspended in some way or whatever. I actually doubt that that's the case. It seems like things like this, they're starting to be accelerated in terms of the time frame that these things happen. I agree with you that the chances of him ending up on the exempt list are going to be very high. So the question online has been, okay, in whatever form or fashion of Josh Jacobs' absence, who is the people that step in? And I cannot believe it. We're finally going to have a relevant conversation about Marshawn Lloyd here. Now, if anybody doesn't remember, Marshawn Lloyd was a highly drafted running back, I believe 2 years ago, that he was supposed to be the guy in lieu of, Josh Jacobs or whatever it was going to be. He was highly touted, highly, like a lot of praise heaped upon him. It never came to fruition. He's been injured every 3 seconds for varying different degrees. He had appendicitis, then he had an ankle, then he had this and that. But he was always the guy, and he's been a darling of people online, telling people to keep an eye on him. In his absences of, with all the injury, when Josh Jacobs has been out, Emmanuel Wilson stepped in to such a great degree, but Emmanuel Wilson has now been traded to the Seahawks. So now is it Marshawn Lloyd's chance to shine? Or, as a lot of other people are pointing out online, could Chris Brooks, who has shown some level of juice, be relevant? What do you think?
I think honestly, since Marshawn Lloyd is still on that roster, Marshawn Lloyd has the first shot. So, I think it's going to be, I don't think anybody's going to take the primary load. I mean, we did see last year that Emmanuel Wilson took the primary load whenever, Josh Jacobs wasn't there, but I just don't know if those guys, not saying that Wilson was the end all be all, but I think that he just stepped up to the occasion. I think they're probably going to split it, to be honest. I will say, in one of my best balls, my June best ball that I drafted a day ago. I did take Marshawn Lloyd with I think my 14th round pick.
Okay.
So
Shots have been taken.
yes, yes. And I did not draft Josh Jacobs because who would do that?
Well, get him at a discount. Maybe get a couple good games. I mean,
Hey, I learned on Joe Mixon last year.
yeah, that's going to be an interesting question. I will be very interested to see how the, once we get into training camp, how that looks. Right now, I agree with Tommy. My initial thoughts would be about Marshawn Lloyd, but he could get injured in 2 seconds. So keep an eye on it and keep an eye on the every all of the news that you can about Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
So
I
pay
mean,
attention, all the
we only
morbid
got
news.
a couple months to talk about it, so
Yeah. So there we go. Any other news cross your desk?
yeah, just
Okay.
Diana Rossini was right all along.
All right, let's jump into the main event here. So what we're going to do for everybody, we're going to take a look at early ADP, and essentially it's going to be our critique of early ADP. We're going to be referencing sleeper ADP. It's actually being presented to us through Draft Sharks. They're both obviously sleepers, the platform we use for most of our fantasy stuff. Draft Sharks is really good too for a lot of analysis. Encourage everybody to check that stuff out. So we're gonna do a critique of the ADP for by each position and basically point out what we disagree with and guys that we think that really should be in the top, whatever, or that should not be there. So we'll no more ado. We'll jump into that right now. So let's start at the running back position. I'll call it out. So the current top 10 in ADP for running backs, we got Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, James Cook, Kenneth Walker, Ashton Genty, Devon Achane, Omarion Hampton, and Saquon Barkley. That is 1 through 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because those of us who can count. So, Mr.
Yay.
La- Mr. Lang, right off the top of your head here, what do you think is your biggest gripe with this situation here?
You know, I'm fine with one, one and two. I'm also fine with Jonathan Taylor being where he is. So I think 1 through 4 is pretty solidified. Um, I am a little nervous about Christian McCaffrey's travel this year. They have another massive travel schedule. The San Francisco 49ers, and on top, I mean, the good thing is they're away from the electrical battlefield of their practice facility. Um, but the bad thing is they're
And you've said this in a couple weeks in a row. Can you explain to the people what this joke is?
I mean, their practice facility is right on top of a whatchamacallit, electrical power plant or something, whatever they want to call it.
Right. And,
What
and
they
people
were, yeah.
online have been suggesting that it's a factor in all of them getting injured all the time.
I mean, if a team just keeps getting injured, I mean, it could be a factor.
Uh, very possibly.
The electrified calves over there. But I mean, and then you move on to James Cook, which I think he truly believe, I truly believe he deserves to be in this position here. He's on one of the best offenses in the league. He's been undervalued the past 4 or 5 years. It just he needs to be up there. Now let's just hope he holds his ADP. But the one of them that I do have a massive gripe with right here is, and I keep saying, is Kenneth Walker. I understand he Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker. He gets signed to the Kansas City Chiefs, but and you can't like count potential injuries. I get it, but with Kenneth Walker, you might be able to count a potential injury based on the circumstance. I mean, I just don't see the Kansas City Chiefs offense being great this year, especially with the situation that you have with Rashee Rice, the situation that you have with Patrick Mahomes not being 100% healthy. I understand him not being 100% healthy could obviously lean the more of a run on Kenneth Walker, but we've all seen Kenneth Walker basically get injured. We nickname him Glass, Ken Glass, Ken Glass Walker. So him being the only primary running back there, not having a Charbonnet to spell him, um, I just don't see him being an RB1. Um, Outside of that, Ashton Genty, I told you he's going to finish in the top three. Devon Achane, obviously he's going to be the only guy that's there catching the ball, running the ball all over the field. Another potential injury risk. Omarion Hampton, great opportunity, great offensive line, has a great position to finish in the top 8, I think. Saquon Barkley has a great opportunity to overcome the objections that he came across last year. A lot of obstacles, but without an AJ Brown there, that could open the field a little bit more for him. Um, the one player that I do think that deserves to be in this top 10 is Derrick Henry. He's proven year in, year out to score touchdowns. He's gonna score double-digit touchdowns. Um, it's just gonna happen, especially with having the quarterback of Lamar Jackson back there. I understand it's a new system, new regime that's in there. He's still Derrick Henry. He's still going to score touchdowns. He's the bigger, the badder running back that anybody's ever seen.
ever in their life. Yeah, I have some thoughts, and you and I are going to have a couple of disagreements. This will be interesting once we get into ranking season. Let's start with your assessment of Ken Walker. The injury considerations are well noted, well noted. So I don't want you to think I'm discounting that. I'll just say that whatever your injury considerations are for Ken Walker, you need to absolutely believe about Devon Achane. So uh, and from an analytical standpoint, I got it. Two very different players in different situations, but Kenneth Walker and Devon Achane, I actually see very similar because if you could get past their injury risks for this year, they're both going to be extremely good assets for your team. Let me rebut the points you made about Ken Walker, though. To me, the fact that you have the Rashee Rice situation means they're going to lean even harder on a Ken Walker led run game.
Hmm.
Um, Patrick Mahomes, I do believe Patrick Mahomes will be back week one, but even if he's not, like it does nothing except bolster that situation more, in my opinion. That's why they brought him in. They brought him in on purpose to lean on him. I'm not projecting farther than 1 year. For this year. They are absolutely going to lean on him. I don't see any way that that's not going to happen. If you believe that it doubles the risk of him being injured, fine. I'm not going to fault anybody. But then again, anybody could get injured. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's been injured in his career. Christian McCaffrey's been injured multiple times. I mean, basically, other than the two running backs at the top, you got a lot of guys here could very well be injury considerations. I would say my biggest gripe here is, and you and I have been putting off this conversation. We could probably have it a little bit now about Christian McCaffrey. So at some point, Tommy, the end of the empire has to happen. Now, what does the end of the empire mean? It probably means something like he was good, not great. Or he just gets injured and that's like the end of the story. But we already believe that the 49ers are not going to have a good season. Like you said, everything that you were saying about the uphill battles that they have, their team is not as good as they were. Christian McCaffrey is another year older, following a gigantic workhorse season where he had a million touches. We see this all the time where you have this many touches. It does not work out well for you the next year. See Saquon Barkley from last year. So I don't know. It's going to be very hard for me to not have Christian McCaffrey ranked in the top 10, but he is the biggest name that I'm seeing that I need to evaluate really about how I see him. Look at it like this, Tommy. Let's say you're at the back end of the first round, okay, and you know you're grabbing a running back. You'd rather have Christian McCaffrey than Genty. Well, not Genty. I know you would take Genty over him because of the way you feel about it, but James Cook, Omarion
I,
Hampton.
I mean, if I'm at the back end, I'm at the 12. I'm taking Christian McCaffrey and Genty very easily.
You would take McCaffrey if Cook is available. You would take McCaffrey over
Hmm.
Cook. Okay. Okay. Everything I said, does it hold any water with you?
It does, but the risk is, the reward is far greater than the risk with this. I mean, you saw what happened. He was literally at some points the leading reception, leading the NFL in receptions pretty much until obviously Puka and everybody else caught up. But I mean, running back wise, I mean, just nobody got closer. Like it just, you can't devalue the touches. I understand that, you know, it's gonna, the amount of volume that he took through that year, it's really gonna, be costly for his health. He's 30 years old, so he's another year older. And one of my, I won't say it's a concern. I think they already know what they have from Christian McCaffrey, but basically the 49ers have reportedly planned to be cautious with running back Christian McCaffrey through the rest of the offseason program and training camp. That's just normal.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not that's not anything that is deceptive. That's not anything that is going to shy me away from drafting him. I think that they're being smart. They know his injury history. They've they've dealt with him during his injury history with his what you call a German calf situation. It just he's Christian McCaffrey though. Until proven otherwise, injuries, no injuries, whatever it is, until proven otherwise,
Yeah.
he's still the boss.
All right. We might end up at odds about this one, going into rankings, but Your points are well taken. I'm not discounting that. I would say if I had to pick a name that I thought would be finishing in the top 10 instead of Christian McCaffrey, although again, like I said, we haven't done rankings yet, so don't hold me to this. I'd probably pick Chase Brown, I think. Considering what the offense is going to be, and now with the absence of Myles Garrett in the AFC
Chase
North,
Chase Brown over Christian McCaffrey.
it would be a consideration for me. I just, like I said, I named all the reasons what I'm a little bit worried about with McCaffrey. I really did. Um,
Okay.
now your contentions about Saquon Barkley, I'm inclined to agree with. Like, but you just have to accept what Saquon like. Is he still a super athlete despite his advanced age from a running back perspective? Yeah, I mean, and I have no reason to think the Eagles are going to be bad. So, that's another one that I think is good. I do think Marion Hampton is currently underrated. So, if I think Christian McCaffrey's overrated, I name some of these other guys, maybe like, up and down, like through the
I'll
rankings.
just put it this way. I mean, you really can't go wrong taking any of these guys in that middle of the area right there. I mean, the
I
only
think Christian McCaffrey you could go wrong with, but
well, you could say
uh,
the same thing about going wrong with Kenneth Walker.
or Devon A.
Um,
Chan, you're right.
but the thing is, I mean, bouncing back to my player that I really do believe that should be in the top 10 because he's proven it week year in year out. Yes, minus some of the fumble situations that he had last year. Derrick Henry needs to be in that top 10.
Yeah,
And
but
if he's not, you're getting him at a massive value.
we think I like Derrick Henry a lot. I think age doesn't matter for him, but I also think that the Ravens are going to be a lot worse this year. We've talked about this before. That'll be interesting where we slot him. I do want to say before we move on, because we didn't mention him, currently sitting at the running back 11 in ADP, I absolutely believe is completely overrated here. That's Jeremiah Love. I cannot see him. I can't see him. I just can't. I just
No,
cannot see him having that good of a season.
you got three or four running backs that are going to make the team that are going to be utilized. They paid Algier.
On a
You
team
got
that loves to pass.
yes. So I mean, yeah, can he receive some receptions out of the backfield? I believe so. He's very talented to do so and make something with it. But this is a little hefty on price. Jeremiah
On
Love.
Gerald I love, right. And concordantly, I have to scroll so far down to find Jadarian Price, but I don't even want to do the calculation here, but he's like way outside the top 30.
Yeah,
We
I mean,
100% believe he finishes as an RB2. So I mean,
I don't want to take poo poo on Jeremiah Love because, like I said, he has a lot of talent. He has a lot of opportunity. The thing is, he has not done it in the NFL yet, right?
and the
Yep.
situation isn't the best.
And I don't know if I put him in that category. I probably put him in as a low end running back too. Maybe like Kyron Williams is so undervalued. I think Kyron Williams should be in the high end running back two position. Josh Jacobs is going to fall. Bucky Irvin's going to fall. I think Jeremiah Love should be fall down to the Brees Hall, Travis Etienne range, and Kyron Williams should bump up to that high end RB2 role.
Yep. Uh, it'll be interesting to see how we have the rankings in the end. Any other points? We want to jump to wide receiver here?
Yeah, I could jump to wide receiver.
All right, don't sound so excited. All right, so the wide receiver position, again, half point PPR. We got the top 10 here. We got Jamar Chase, Puka Nakua, Jackson Smith and Jigba, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Drake London, Malik Neighbors, Nico Collins, and George Pickens. That is the current top 10 in ADP. To me, the biggest thing that it's screaming like Malik Neighbors probably doesn't belong here based on everything else we talked about earlier in this show. Um, let's hold off on commenting too much on that. We need to see what the health situation looks like. That having been said, to both of us, and it can't be 2 years in a row that we get this wrong, but right now we're both feeling strong that JSN is overrated here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he's overrated to be honest here. He's not going to finish I mean he just got paid. And my rule with getting paid players. But I do think he is a wide receiver one. I just don't think he's a top three. I think he's going to finish in the top eight. He's not going to have a repeat of last year.
I don't think he has. I mean, it's been 2 years in a row, and we talk about this all the time of like, where their peak performances are, and you cannot just expect things to continue exactly the same as they've been continuing. The Seattle Seahawks are going to be playing a much more difficult schedule this year. You got the Rams being world beaters now. So like it's difficult to see that situation being that high. So right off the top of your head, I see Amon-Ra. I would take Amon-Ra over JSN personally. What other names here right off the top of your head would you rather have than JSN?
Ah, Um, Justin Jefferson. Um, I mean, I'll go back to that. Justin
Sure.
Jefferson, CD Lamb, a healthy CD Lamb. There's no way that I could pass on that. And probably Nico Collins.
Interesting. Interesting. I mean, and you believe that Stroud's not going to be throwing 10 trillion interceptions then?
Um, Probably not.
Yeah, some other interesting things to mention. So, like you got George Pickens here that basically puts two Dallas wide receivers. Now, I don't have the stats in front of me, but when CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens were on the field last year, I don't remember it being as dominant a situation for Pickens. Pickens finished really well last year, but when both were on the field healthy, I don't remember it being like that. So I wonder how much of it is a bit wishful thinking. And we talked about it a little bit earlier in the offseason about you don't think CeeDee Lamb has lost a step, right?
No, I don't think so. I think that the talent of George Pickens, kind of hurts him a little bit. And the only reason why it hurts him is when he has a little nagging injury, it just everything's going to go the other way. So he's just at that point he's a semi decoy, but coming into the season, not looking at an injury aspect of it, uh, I do again feel it's a red light year for Prescott because the years have proven to be right. But if it is green light and he finishes a full season, CD Lamb should have a pretty solid year.
Okay. Well, I mean,
You
he's
can't
current.
go wrong with either way.
No. The only other name that kind of like shoves out to me here. So as much as I love the talent, so Drake London, the problem is their quarterback situation is very dicey here. Um, I believe in Kevin Stefanski as a head coach, but the problem is I currently do not believe in Penix or Tua. And we don't even know who the quarterback is, really. I know you think it's going to be Tua.
It's probably going to start as Tua.
You think Tua is going to be better for Drake London then?
Uh, he can be. We'll
Uh,
see.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I'm
Yeah.
Ron Burgundy.
I
No,
don't
I
know,
think
man.
I think Drake London is just a really good possessional receiver as well too. He's going to command the targets no matter who the quarterback is. Even if it's Penn 15, you're going to see anywhere from 10 to 15 targets a game to Drake London. If it's Tua, you're going to see probably about 8 to 12, I'd probably say. So you're dissipating a little bit, but he does catch a lot of his targets. He has a high catch rate. So
Sitting
and
at number.
it's a left-handed quarterbacking either way. So it's
I know.
nothing
I
really
heard that
changes.
stupid narrative in the media. It doesn't matter. It's just so
The way that the
ridiculous.
ball releases with the left hand compared to the right hand, it's a
Yeah.
possibility.
If we end up seeing bad news out of Malik Neighbors, which is what we're talking about, I don't have any problem with the guy who happens to be 11 being in the top 10 here. So Chris Olave, the target king himself, and especially with an ascension of Tyler Shook in New Orleans, I don't have a single problem with that. And I like Olave, and I like what's going on with the
Yeah.
Saints. So, you
Yeah,
know,
no, I can agree. I mean, Chris Olave is, as we know, he's very, very talented. When he doesn't have a concussion year, he is going to produce. And you just gotta have a quarterback that's not going to throw him in the middle of the field and take a massive shot. So I think, Tyler Shuck basically is doing a good job there, and he's the future for that offense.
yeah, dark horses to finish in the top 10 here. I mean, some guys a couple farther down. Tet McMillan, who we really like for
Yeah,
this year.
yeah. I mean, I like Tet. I think he's going to be where he's going to be drafted ADP wise. That's where he's going to, you're not really going to get a massive return on your investment. You're going to just basically get what you got
Eh,
there.
I think there's upside, a lot of upside there.
I think the only person, let's just look at this, right? So I think obviously you got Chris Olave, AJ Brown, Rashee Rice, who's probably going to miss a couple games, T. Higgins, who's going to miss a couple games, Tech McMillan, Garrett Wilson, who let's see if quarterback play can actually get him the ball. Luther Burden is a wild card here. I think this is really, really dicey to put him in this high of an ADP. Jalen Waddle coming in with still a Cortland Sutton and Troy Franklin and the other talent that's there. The one player that I'm really surprised, ADP wise right now is the touchdown the guy that led touchdowns last year, Devontae Adams. I understand history may not repeat itself with 14 touchdowns. Um, 60 receptions, 789 yards is not fantastic, but 14 touchdowns is. And the way that they're going to score points. And Devontae Adams is that end zone target. Puka Nacua is the gadget guy. And I think Puka Nacua is going to open that door still for Devontae Adams to score double-digit touchdowns. So I think that he should be in the top 10, if not maybe top 12. So you have two LA Rams with the amount of passing that's going to happen for that team.
Well, then we would have to see who we would bump down. I mean, are you going to kick JSN completely out of the top 10 to accomplish that? Are you going to
No,
bump
JSN
out?
is still within the top 10. I mean, if Malik Neighbors, I think Devontae Adams is the 11 guy there to be completely 11 or 12.
Okay.
But if Malik Neighbors is not in there, then it's a battle. I think at that point it's between Chris Olave and Devontae Adams, and I probably would take Devontae Adams because of the touchdowns. And Chris Olave, there's other talent that's in that offense that's going to steer away from Chris Olave's uh, heavy action.
And before we move on, we should just reiterate because we're going to have this all off season about our love for guys that are not on here. Amika Ibuka and DJ Moore, who are both hovering in the wide
Yeah.
receiver 2, 3
Mecca
area.
Ibuka finished in the top three.
So, so realistically speaking, we believe they both have the upside for top 10. Probably not necessarily going to have them ranked there, but I could see them. We have them ranked as a very high wide receiver too, which would mean that
Yep.
we're going to have them as values no matter where they're going in the draft.
Hmm.
So keep an eye on that. I mean, if I just cold, if I was just to look at this top 10 and be like the guys who are not going to finish there, Malik Neighbors is an easy one. Like I said, I have trepidations about Drake London. JSN, I think, is overrated where he's at, but it's going to be hard for me to not rank him in the top 10. And I would say Nico Collins, I want to see some better stuff out of the Houston offense in training camp before I can commit to that. I
Yeah,
would say,
I could agree.
yeah, I would say that's my initial situation. And like we said, we pointed out the names who we like that or not. Let's go to tight ends. Okay, this is interesting. So top 10 tight ends: Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, Colston Loveland, Ty Warren, Harold Fannin, Tucker Kraft, Kyle Pitts, Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid, and Oronde Gadsden. So
Stay away.
so this is a tale of tears, really. Like you got the top two, then you got the next three, and
And then
then
you got streamers.
and then you have everything after that, really. So, like, like we talked about, it's just a question of where you're willing to pull that trigger. I answered that question in our last draft. Um, and I'll preview quarterbacks real quick. Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, and Josh Allen. The earliest I'm willing to pull that trigger on them is actually in the fourth round. I'm not willing to go any earlier. And the odds of that happening in your draft is almost nothing. If it does happen, great. It has happened before. It's happened in some of our home leagues or whatever. However, just consider what you're giving up if you do actually consider going earlier than that. And you actually think Brock Bowers is going to finish higher than Trey McBride this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean, they're trying to utilize him in multi-dimensional areas on that offense. I think, he has the talent to do so. I mean, Trey McBride, don't get me wrong, he's a great talent. And he's proven my theory wrong with getting paid and producing. Some players just want to play to, be great and still get paid. Um, but Brock Bowers, I do believe that he's going to finish as the number one finishing tight end. Yes, there's going to be a massive volume for Trey McBride, but there's going to be massive volume for Brock Bowers, and Brock Bowers has the ability to score touchdowns over Trey McBride.
sure. I mean, and it's not like he's competing with other talented wide receivers to get those targets. He really isn't. Really, that entire offense is Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty. On Arizona, you got a lot of players now. Jeremiah Love, Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison, Michael Wilson. There's a lot of targets there, and we don't even really know if Brissett's going to be the quarterback per se.
Yeah,
So,
and on Brock Bowers last year he had Geno Smith.
That's true. It
And
cannot
now
get
he's
worse than that.
and now he's got Mr. What you call it, Kirk Cousins himself, and the stepbrothers have made their entry.
Yeah, and from an ADP perspective, I'm not going to argue with anybody on the next three. These were the rookie tight ends from last year who showed so much promise and got it done in varying levels of difficulty. I know you prefer Tyler Warren to in this group of three, but the larger question, Tommy, is like realistically, when would you pull the trigger on these guys? Because otherwise, we could just go late round tight end. So
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know if those guys. I mean, Tyler Warren's probably the only one that I feel more, especially with Daniel Jones being healthy. I think Tyler Warren is the only one that I say is the consistent week in, week out kind of player that I feel comfortable with. But you're talking about a fifth, sixth round value, if not maybe sooner. And I don't know if that's worth it. I think I could find somebody a little bit later that can have the confidence that can be a week in, week out starter, and then maybe have to stream late in the year, depending on situation. But I mean, I'm still on this Jake Ferguson train. Jake Ferguson gets his targets.
Burgerlicious, man.
He's great, and he's going to be a massive value. He could pretty much be an undrafted in some leagues. And then obviously, we all know what the situation with Mr. Tanj is. If George Kittle is slow in coming back, we saw what he did with no George Kittle out there. So, um, you know, there's some talent there. I actually, and also, I mean, we poo-pooed a lot on Mark Andrews last year, but I think with no Isaiah Likely there, and maybe with the new regime, new system, maybe it's an opportunity, but it's not an opportunity that I'm willing to draft. Maybe super, super late, but I think somebody's gonna, in every single draft, somebody's gonna take him way too early just because of the name.
Yeah, and what you said at the top of this segment is right. Like you got the top two guys who we're not arguing with. You got the next three guys who we're not arguing with. And then everything else after that, you or me or anybody else could create a narrative on why you should take that shot. Like you just
Mhm.
did that on Mark Andrews. I could do the same thing for Dalton Kincaid. I could do the same thing for Tucker Kraft. Like it's useless for us to have a convo about, hey, who could finish in the top 10? Who could not finish? Everything else after that top five is just narrative street shots,
I
that
honestly
kind of
say
thing.
everything after that top three is narrative street.
I think you're being not nice to, uh
Harold
Harold Fannin
Fannin.
and Warren or Loveland, depending on who you mean. But
Yeah.
Harold
I
Fannin
mean,
got it done in worse situation last year than he's going to have this year.
yeah, but if you look at the fantasy implication this year, they drafted two wide receivers that are going to take on more opportunity.
Will they be able to get them that ball?
Well, will they be able to get them the ball to the tight end?
I do. I think so. Yeah,
Not the same target range.
maybe not. So if you want to count the top four, Colson Loveland and Tyler Warren, and you want it, then that's fine too. I mean, but we're saying the same thing that it's like, would you even make that investment? I'd make an investment on Harold Fannin in like the ninth round, but he's not going to end up there.
Let me tell you something. There's only two players on that tight end list that you just will never bench, you'll never worry about, and that's basically Trey McBride and that's Brock Bowers.
That's
Yeah, I
that. I
mean,
guess that's a fair point.
there are there, Loveland. You're gonna get a donut week. You're gonna get a 0 week. You're gonna get 2 point week. You're not gonna get that with McBride. You're not gonna get that with Bowers. It's just
Right.
it's science.
So yeah, so some of the later round guys that we're in love with, mostly because you don't have to invest anything in. So he already mentioned Fergalicious. He's always a fan of. Mark Andrews is looking okay now based on where he's going. We always like Juwan Johnson. We like Doctor Strange. We both like Isaiah Likely. For all especially because of the Malik Neighbor situation, the saga that's continuing. And my super secret guy is going to be Tonjes because I don't believe George Kittle is going to be playing for most of the year, or at least a good portion of the year, because he killed a spider. No, not because of that, because of his injury
Hey, if
situation.
he's got arachnophobia, then I'm gonna start killing spiders all day long.
All right, let's go to let's go to quarterbacks. So quarterbacks here, top 10 in the quarterback list. We got Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Drake May, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Jackson Dart, Justin Herbert, Caleb Williams, and Trevor Lawrence himself. So there's no disagreements with number one. It is what it is. Josh Allen's the guy, and then like we said, he's the only guy I would be willing to invest in up to the fourth round. After that, I know you and I both have a lot of qualms, and I have a feeling we're on the same page with a lot of this. So, um, I would not have Lamar Jackson up at number two. I just wouldn't. I think it's just starting to feel inconsistent, starting to not feel the best.
See the thing with having Lamar Jackson up here at number two, they're just not discrediting him at all. Like they're not doing anything against what his lack of performance has been, his injury reset, consistency, through and
Gotcha.
what they're doing to him, well, actually, sorry, what they're doing to uh Derrick Henry is what they should be doing to him. Like he should be in the top five. Derrick Henry should not be in the top 20 of running backs.
Okay.
So I would like to see, honestly, I mean, this is not going to happen this year. It's probably going to happen next year or the year after, or maybe when, I don't know. But Josh Allen, it should be Drake May. So you have basically NFC East right there. Sorry, AFC East right there, and then Joe Burrow, and then I could see Lamar Jackson ish right there. Um, and there's some other players that, quarterbacks that are just getting disrespected hard, and let them get disrespected because, they're going to come out and they're going to show out and show off every single week. Trevor Lawrence is going to come out and play hard every single week. He was the number one quarterback, for a couple weeks last year. Um, he's got a very, very good
Right.
offense. Outside of the running back room right now, he's got some really good wide receiver play. I think they have an average running back room. But I do think they need to get another talented opportunity there. But you know,
Not to cut you off. Tell me if you agree. Honestly, in a semi-similar vein as the tight ends, I could very easily make the claim that you have like tier one is Josh Allen, and tier two, let me list the names: Drake May, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Jackson Dart, Justin Herbert, Kid. Like I don't see them all that different.
no.
Trevor Lawrence. Now, there's going to be a tier after them of guys that you may or may not take a shot on, but the tier two list of quarterbacks, like I'd be perfectly happy to just throw in Jackson Dart, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott. Like I'd be perfectly happy with any one of them
Yeah.
as my quarterback, and I don't see that major of a difference. I mean, and you could go narrative street with any one of these guys. Like you really could. Now, on this list, like Patrick Mahomes, we really don't know the situation yet. And again, especially with the Rashee Rice situation, I just feel bad that he's going to have to do everything on his own again. But farther down on this list, just guys that aren't even in here. It's like this is why you could take your time with quarterbacks. Stafford's not even in the list there. Uh, Jordan Love, who's gonna have
Yeah.
to air it out a lot more. You got the Kyler Murray situation, what we talked about, right? He's not even there.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, you're gonna have your play, this is a perfect year to just wait and take what you could get at quarterback. Let people double up at quarterback. Get your positional players. Go take that Kyler Murray late round. Go take that Baker Mayfield late round.
Right.
Go take that Jared Goff late round.
Stafford, yeah.
You got opportunity. Go take that Daniel Jones, who was also the number one quarterback in, on and off, top five quarterback until he got injured. Take him
If you want to try
late
it,
round.
yeah.
Jacoby Brissett throwing 500 times a game. Great opportunity there.
As long as
He's
he's
good,
signed.
and he will be signed. But there's just so much opportunity. Let guy, if guys fall to the ninth, 10th round, if you're gonna see Jackson Dart, you're gonna see Justin Herbert in the ninth, 10th round, yeah, take your shot there. But it's just so, but it's not going to happen. But it's just so amazing that there's so many mobile quarterbacks, and not only that, but so many high volume throwing quarterbacks that are going to capitalize and throw touchdowns, that are on a fantastic offense, that are outside of the top 10. And they're going to finish inside the top 10. They're going to have their top 10 weeks. They're going to have their top 5 weeks. They're going to have the top 3 weeks. That's why streaming quarterback onesie positions are very, very valuable.
Right.
Watching schedules, watching positional changes, watching, how some of these, the route running for the offense, watching the games is very, very clear because then you can see what's going to be hold for next week's exposure. That when they go and they play this team, that team, whatever it is. Tyler Shuck basically
Shook.
Shook won a lot of championships last year, and he was a nobody to start the year, right? You know, I'm still a Spencer Rattler guy, but Tyler Shuck.
No, you're not. Undercut your whole credibility.
But you know what I mean? Like, there's gonna be weeks where a lot of these guys are just gonna be putting up crazy numbers. And at that point, it doesn't matter who finishes in the top five. If you can get a quarterback that can put up 15 plus points per week, that's what you need. You don't need that massive shot,
I would say
right? And you're gonna give
18 points. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. But you know what I mean, though. Like
Yeah,
if they're
yeah.
guaranteeing you 15 points, they're easily going to hit that 18th point marker at least 2/3 of the year.
No, and it's also, again, like we'll talk about the math of this as it gets a little closer, but it's supply and demand. Like you only need to start one quarterback. And the amount of quarterbacks that are available that are sufficing the things that Tommy's just talking about, there's just a plethora. I mean, I just rattled off a list of 8 or 9 guys in about the same tier of confidence that I'm perfectly fine having as the starting quarterback. I mean, our first mock draft that we did, I ended up with Trevor Lawrence in like the ninth round, and I was super happy about that. I was like, Trevor Lawrence, I could very easily have projected as the number 2 quarterback. I very easily could make that argument. And I'm grabbing him in the ninth round, but I could also make that argument about Drake May. I can make that argument about Jackson Dart. I can make the argument about Joe Burrow. Like, I mean, you could go down that list and just wait, see who shows up at the end. We were in love with Justin Herbert. There was a couple drafts that we did that he was like showing up in the ninth and 10th round, right? I mean,
Yep.
that's great there. And or go ahead, wait and let people double up and go get yourself a late round Baker,
Go get
Tyler Shook,
yourself
Kyler, or whatever.
go get yourself Baker Mayfield, who's going to be healthy and pissed off this year.
Right. So I mean, if now you guys are seeing us illustrate it, like this is why. And again, like I said, I'm willing to make the investment on Josh Allen only in the fourth round, or Trey McBride and Brock Bowers only in the fourth round. If they're not there, I'm kicking that can, man. I'm kicking the can down the road. So, so there we
I'm
go.
not. I'm not taking those guys there.
In the fourth round, you wouldn't take that shot. I think you. I think that's fair enough. You could take
Depends
that
on what
shot there.
depends on what kind of values there at that point, though.
Well, presumably, if they're available there, more people took running backs and wide receivers. So I mean, it's probably a value at that point.
I
But
mean, if DJ Moore is there still,
I know we're gonna have DJ Moore locked in the fourth. I think it's gonna be, yeah.
yep. I mean, if DJ Moore's there, if Vlad McConkey's there, if Jameson Williams there, Emeka Ikubegbu is there.
By the way, if nobody knows why we're calling him that, just go look up Rob Gronkowski, Amika Ibuka, and just let the internet show you the video. Okay, just go do that. That's all you need to say.
If we had
Um,
the technology, we'd just drop the video right here.
yeah. All right, so let's go to kickers and yeah.
Kickers, what are we doing?
No, we're good. So there we go. I am, especially now, now we're in June, now we're OTAs, and there'll be training camp coming up in a month or two, whatever. I'll be very interested to see the changes in ADP. Some of the things, like we said, there's a lot of injury considerations to be looking at. There's suspension considerations to be looking at. We'll see how this goes in a little bit closer to the offseason, and we'll get into our rankings a little bit later on. Closing thoughts, Mr. Lang?
Yeah, we truly appreciate everybody that takes the time to watch our video. If you could please like, share, and subscribe, we would greatly appreciate it. And thank you, Diane Renner for getting everything right for us.
Thank you very much, everybody.